Right after we met with Mert and Yuri, founders of a company called SwipeSense, we knew that we were going to be very busy for the next couple of months. Have you ever had that? You're already normally busy with your normal kind of work, and then all of a sudden your boss comes in and gives you an extra big project, and you know that you've got a challenge for the next few months. For some background, we do engineering consulting, so companies hire us to help them on projects that are hot or that need to be done quickly. Mert and Yuri were meeting with us to talk about a new project that they had. They wanted to get a little product to market very quickly, and so they need our help. Mert and Yuri are two tall glasses of water. They're very similar in nature. Mert is Turkish, and Yuri is French. They almost seem like when they're talking, they're like brothers or something. They met at Northwestern, going to school together. They found a group called Design for America, where they pick big challenges and to try to design a product to help solve it. And what they focused on was hospital-acquired infections. You guys familiar with these? Basically, in America, or probably all over the world, but I know America specifically, you have a 1 in 25 chance of going into a hospital with like a broken arm or whatever you might have, and coming out with something like MRSA, or a hospital infection. It's actually the 5th leading cause of death in the United States. There are hospital-acquired infections. So Mert and Yuri came up with a relatively simple solution to help solve this. And it was that doctors don't wash their hands as much as they should. And if they would wash their hands a little bit more, they could reduce some of the bacteria and viruses in hospitals. The products were designed to increase accountability and to make it easier for doctors and nurses to wash their hands. So the specific product that they had in mind was a wearable. Doctors and nurses would put it on to their belt or they put it onto their shirt, and every time they need to wash their hand, they would go and press a button. It would dispense some sanitizer gel. They'd wash their hands. And what's cool about it is it has a little PCB in it and a battery. So each time they would wash their hands, it sends a signal to a wall-mounted unit. It says that Dr. Smith washes hands in room 102 right before a surgery. So that the hospital can track who's washing their hands and when and how it affects what's going on in the hospital. They had a couple of things that they needed to get done right before they released this product. They were on the verge of really becoming a big company. And they had released a few of these to hospitals, and hospitals really wanted them. So they said, we got to get this to market. Some of the problems were typical with products that are just about to come to market, like every time a doctor would use this, a small drip would be left on the end of the nozzle, which is not usually a big deal, but when you have it on your body, it adds up all day. You either get a big wet spot right here, or you get a big wet spot right here, which I would say are 2 of the 3 worst places that you have wet spots in the body. I don't think they ever wore them back here. So we were safe. We were safe there. So we hammered through that. We figured out a way to get the nozzle to pull the drip back into the pump every time that they used it. They had, their product would work with all kinds of gels. So we looked at ways to to get their product to work with other gels. And what happened with this project specifically is what happens a lot of times when you're in crunch mode is you learn a big lesson. And the lesson we learned is how important 3D printers are. But we'll get back to that in a second. The project was just about wrapped up, and Yuri texted me that he was going to be at our office in an hour to pick up the prototype because he had a big meeting with investors the next day where he was going to present the prototype. We were happy with everything that had gotten done, except there was one problem that sat out there. And we talked about it early on. It was when you put the cartridge into the dispenser, Swipe Sense had wanted it to feel like you were loading a magazine into a gun. And it felt more like you were sticking a plastic fork into a table. So this wasn't technically a functional problem, but it was the first thing that the customer interacted with. They picked up the dispenser and the cartridge and they would load it. And we had a couple of ideas of how we might solve this, but we weren't so confident in it that we could drop other things that we were working on and focus on this. So we never got to it. And like all projects, at some point you gotta draw the line in the sand and be done with it, prototype what you've got, and be finished. So for the first time in a while, I actually had about an hour with nothing to do. I was just sitting there in the office waiting for Yuri to show up. So we figured we quickly put our concept onto CAD and then print it out on a 3D printer and just give it a try. The worst that would happen is we would never tell Yuri we did anything. And the best that would happen is that we could turn it into some kind of speech. So we printed it out, carefully put it together with the new prototype, and tried it, and it works like a dream. Way better than we could have ever expected, better than our confidence could have been. So when Yuri showed up, we sat there with him and we played with it, we clicked it and unclicked it a bunch of times excitedly, kept going back and forth, making sure it kept doing the same thing. And it taught us a lesson. And that lesson was, if we hadn't had that 3D printer in the office, we would have never tried that concept. We would have just waited for the next revision to try it out. And in that way, having a 3D printer in your office is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. What do you do at an all-you-can-eat buffet?
Gorge yourself.
You gorge yourself. You eat all you can eat. Why don't you eat all that you can eat at a regular restaurant?
It costs more.
It costs more, and it's also socially a little awkward. You keep ordering meals while the other person isn't. But all you can eat, it's actually encouraged to eat all you can eat. And having a 3D printer in your office takes all those roadblocks away, not to try new concepts. So just